First, they come out with literally flashbangs, the type of sort of shock and awe to people on the street would say terrorize the community. And then you see who they're really going after. Like Maricela, the 53-year-old mother who was just going to buy meat for a stew. And just to remind everybody, we have more reporting about her, but I would love to show everybody a little bit of that detention. Watch this.
Don't touch me. You're not allowed to touch me. Señora, ¿cómo se llama? Dígame su nombre. Dígame su nombre. Look at guys. Look at this fascist right here. Señora, dígame su nombre. Grítelo.
She's in.
Grítelo otra vez. Grítelo. ¡Ah, se está aquí! ¡No salgan!
The show of force is the point. Adam Serwer said the cruelty is the point. Letting people see this is the point. They want these images to be out. They're making their own videos. 70% of people in ICE detention have no criminal record right now. 70% of people, when they said they're going after the worst of the worst.
It's Ken Harbaugh with the Midas Touch Network. The American government under Donald Trump has made it official policy to inflict trauma. Their brutality is the point. ICE is filming itself terrorizing grandmothers out shopping, moms dropping their kids off at daycare, kids being zip-tied because they want us to feel scared. One of the most alarming aspects of this is just how brazen the Department of Homeland Security is being about disregarding the law, holding children in detention longer than allowed, detaining American citizens without charge. Kristi Noem just used her position as DHS secretary to record a video to be played in airports across the country blaming Democrats for the shutdown. That's not just wrong, it's illegal. But ICE and DHS are behaving as if there will never be accountability. It makes you wonder if some of them aren't counting on the Trump regime never leaving power. Well, guess what? The Trump regime will not last forever, and someday, hopefully soon, there will be a new government that respects the rule of law. One of its most important duties will be holding accountable those who violated their oaths to the Constitution. I talked to Kris Goldsmith about this. He's an Army vet and founder of Veterans Fighting Fascism, and I credit Kris with pushing me to demand of every political candidate and every elected who comes on this show to say whether they will commit to an accountability agenda, to a congressional commission with a mandate to investigate the assaults on the Constitution we are now witnessing. In part one of our conversation yesterday, Kris and I talked about the Trump regime branding the No Kings rally as a terrorist event. In part two, we talk about those who are actually terrorizing American communities and how to hold them accountable.
I think that we need to look at those who are violating Americans' rights, Americans' constitutional rights today, and we need to treat this like Germany treated the Nazis after World War II, and not like we treated January 6th or the Civil War, right? One of the problems that liberals, that progressives, the people who were abolitionists against slavery, right, and who wanted to return to normal with Joe Biden becoming president. One of the problems is they believe that being nice is going to get bad people to be nice to, and that is not the case. We need to provide the carrot and the stick. The carrot, if you join us and you testify against those who violated American civil rights, you will be treated leniently, as you should. That's the way our judicial system works. If you continue to double down and believe that some Americans are subhuman and don't deserve their constitutional rights, you should be treated with all of the ferocity of American patriots who want to make sure that you are held accountable in a court of law to the fullest extent of the law. The ICE agents that I've seen shooting priests in the face with pepper balls, those people should be going to jail for attempted murder.
I think your advocacy on this has moved the needle. It's certainly changed the way I interview electeds and candidates. We had Fred Wellman on yesterday, and I posed this question to every candidate for office who comes on this show. Will you run on an accountability agenda? Will you make it a key part of your platform? And Fred was crystal clear that if he's elected to Congress, he will vote for tribunals. I don't know if he used that word, but that's what we're talking about. We're talking about an investigative commission on the level of the Warren Commission or the 9/11 Commission or the January 6th Commission to get to the bottom of the illegality, the corruption of the Department of Homeland Security. Eric Swalwell really kicked this off, and he's coming on tomorrow when he said that his advice to ICE agents today was lawyer up. Because you may be confident right now that you have all the power because, you've got the nightstick and the body armor and you're chasing after unarmed brown people. But the day will come when you're going to be held accountable. And I don't know about you. I hope you're sensing the same thing. But Democrats are starting to show some teeth on this finally.
Yeah. And one of the things that let me back up. So I run two organizations that have focused for years on like swastika flying neo-Nazis, and Veterans Fighting Fascism and Task Force Butler Institute have created manuals to help people understand this moment. And the things that we wrote years ago in terms of how to track swastika flying neo-Nazis, these instruction manuals, whether it's the Street Teams Guide or the Community Response Guide, they apply to what ICE is doing. I mean, we wrote a manual about how to track extremist organizations that are piling people into the back of U-Hauls. And now ICE is doing exactly that, right? ICE looks like Patriot Front. They're doing the same shit that neo-Nazi organizations have been doing in the United States for years. So I want to encourage people who are going to protests, whether it's on October 18th for the No King's Day protest, or you're going out, every Friday with the sign. I want you to go to taskforcebutler.org and familiarize yourself with the Street Teams Guide and with the Community Response Guide. These will train you how to gather evidence of criminality. Again, we wrote this for neo-Nazi organizations, but all of this still applies when it's ICE violating people's civil rights. I believe that there is going to be a citizen-led effort to hold these people accountable in the same way that we did the Jan 6ers. Yeah. The people who tried to end our democracy on January 6th, they weren't hunted down by the FBI. They were hunted down by patriotic Americans who felt a responsibility to use their time and their skills to go through thousands of hours of video footage, countless photos to identify the perpetrators, write reports, and hand those over to law enforcement. I look forward to the day when I am working with the FBI to hold ICE agents accountable. That is what I can promise that I will be doing in a few years.
And look, it's not just making us feel better to say that this is coming. I think it potentially has a deterrent effect as well. Hey everyone, it's Ken. Quick break here to say thanks for watching and a huge shout out to everyone who supported my most recent reporting trip to Ukraine. I hope you followed the updates on Substack. I reported from Chernobyl, from Kyiv and Odessa, and from frontline positions alongside some of the bravest people I have ever met. If you haven't yet signed up for my Substack, please check it out. It's free to join. The link's below. Thanks. I think if ICE agents are listening, and they're probably not listening to this show, but their brother or sister might be telling them what they're hearing, maybe they'll think twice about pulling out that truncheon and beating some unarmed protester, or dragging some mom out of her car in front of her kid's daycare. I think
I want to push back on that. ICE is setting up a 24/7 social media monitoring service. Like they are working with Palantir, Peter Thiel's Palantir, to transcribe shows like this and look for hints of Antifa extremism. So I do think we're going into the database, and I am proudly saying, with knowing that this is happening, that I will be part of the civilian force that is working to hold ICE agents legally accountable in a few years. I have no fear of saying
Good for you. Courage is contagious, and you are the exemplar for that. I've got one observation that I want you to react to, and then we'll wrap it up. You said that ICE today looks like Patriot Front. How likely do you think it is that actual Patriot Front members, actual Proud Boys, actual 3%ers and Oath Keepers are now joining ICE?
if you join Patriot Front today, if you're a fascist curious 16-year-old and you want to get groomed by Thomas Rousseau, in order to do that, you have to pay Thomas Rousseau, this kid who wears a belt buckle and cowboy hat while he makes all of his little peons wear masks. You have to pay him for stickers that you then have to put up around town and photograph to prove that you are a committed neo-Nazi. If you want to round up immigrants and use violence against immigrants without any sort of repercussions, you can get a $50,000 bonus to join ISIS. Neo-Nazi organizations are going to have a recruiting problem because all of the people who would want to join their gang are instead getting paid to join ICE and do the shit that neo-Nazis have been dreaming about for years. So, what do I think the likelihood of Patriot Front members joining ICE is? I think it's absolute. I think that there is no reason that they would want to pay Thomas Rousseau for stickers when they could join ICE and get their college loans paid off.
Yeah. Well, that database is somewhere and accountability is coming. By that database, I mean, there is a list of ICE agents who have joined since it became this terrorist organization. And I use terrorist maybe not in the legal sense, but in the literal sense. They are terrorizing American communities. And I'm with you. There's got to be accountability, and we're going to be part of that someday, God willing. Thanks, Kris. We'll put all the links in the show notes. Can you give one more plug for the Anti-Fascist Book Club?
Yeah, absolutely. So for those who are watching on YouTube right now, you see some new gear. I usually am wearing like the same shirts. Task Force Butler Institute and Veterans Fighting Fascism just came out with a bunch of new designs to promote our anti-fascist book club. Hoodies, T-shirts, everything's made in the U.S., printed by union shops. If you go to veteransfightingfascism.org or taskforcebutler.org, you just hit the store button. It'll bring you right there. Everything that we have got is meant to be not just a badge showing people where you stand when you go to a protest. It's the type of thing that, you should wear to a bar. You should wear it at a coffee shop, to the library, to spark conversations. On my shirt, it says Anti-Fascist Book Club. Anybody who's got any, who recognizes the Antifa flags, the red and the black, right, is probably going to see it in this logo. This is the type of thing that will help you build community where you live. It may make you a target for the fascists, but you have to make a choice right now. Do you want to proudly wear the Antifa badge, as I do, or do you not? Not everybody can. Not everybody has the privileges that I do of being a military vet, tattooed, bearded, and a concealed carry permit holder, right? Not everybody has the privileges I get, so I'm not going to hold that against anybody. But you have the opportunity right now, whether you're a civilian or a veteran, because we've made different logos for each, to promote the Anti-Fascist Book Club. And the point of this is not just simply to get people reading books. It's to build community. It's to help you learn about fascism, because the history of fascism is the history of loss. It is a loser's way of trying to rule. It is a loser's way of trying to gain power, because it can be effective for a time, but democracy always holds them accountable. Democracy always wins.
We'll put all the links in the show notes, Kris. Thanks so much.
Thanks a lot, brother.